Start. Good evening. This regular City Council meeting of the City of Oak Park Council is called to order July 18th, 2022 at 7:01 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Ed Norris, would you call the roll?
Mayor McClellan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar.
Here.
Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Radner. Here. Councilmember Whitehead. Present.
Well, we have a quorum. The gang's all here. Would this be a good time for Clerk Norris to introduce his new deputy?
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda. We will wait. Looking forward to it, though. The next thing would be a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of item 5G, 9 Mile Linear Park Landscape Project.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda with the added item G.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Elected officials, seeing no elected officials here, we'll skip that. There is a special recognition presentation, a strategic plan update, and these are always good news. So, is it Crystal Van Vleck?
Good afternoon. Good evening. Tonight I have our quarterly update.
Is she on, or did you? There you go.
There we go. Good evening. Tonight we have our strategic plan quarterly update. And I actually have a small presentation with it tonight. In your packet, you guys should have the full quarterly report. The presentation will just go over some highlights for us, and I'll try to keep it pretty short, but if you guys want more information, it's all in the packet. So this is actually looking back on 2 quarters, really. It's looking back from January until the end of June. There we go. Just to review, we have our strategic plan also includes our vision, our mission, and our values. And I won't go over all of those because I think that you guys are pretty familiar with them at this point. And we have 6 goals that make up our strategic plan. That for anyone who doesn't remember, City Council actually prepared their first strategic plan in 2014. That was a 5-year plan that we completed. And in 2020, we sat down, we heard that we went through feedback with the public, and then we sat down and workshopped with council. And at that point in time, City Council revised their goals and objectives, and then the administration sat down and said, okay, here are the goals and objectives that City Council wants us to achieve. Here's how we plan on doing that over the next 5 years. So as an administration, what we've been doing is we've created an action plan. We have very specific things that we accomplish. We have short-term, midterm, long-term. And actually, at the beginning of this year, we reviewed the action items that we've completed to achieve those goals and objectives. We revised those to continue our work forward so that we can really work towards these goals over the next few years. So here are 6 goals, and what the report is going to highlight is just some of the more specific things that we've done, that the administration has been doing over the past 7 months now to help us achieve those objectives. So our first goal is to deepen sense of place and community. One of our objectives is to attract and retain a mixture of robust businesses into the city. The Economic Development Department is continuously promoting and helping businesses understand and also apply for incentives available to them, including the CIA's Facade Improvement Program. So one of the core functions, I think, of our Economic Development department that really kind of goes unlooked or unrealized is the work that our director puts into helping the local businesses apply for grants and help them to understand them so that they can they have a better chance of getting these things. So even if it's not local incentives that we're providing, she helps them to understand the incentives that are available at the county level, the state level, and even the federal level. The Economic Development Director also recently attended a conference to further promote all of the city's available properties and has been actively working to attract mixed-use development on 11 Mile Road, which, as you know, she's been pretty successful at doing. The Economic Development Department is also working with the library, Michigan Works, and Oakland County Business Forward to host an educational event for local businesses in August. Another objective under that goal is to improve the overall appearance of commercial corridors and industrial districts. Technical and planning through our code enforcement has issued approximately 135 tickets for ordinance noncompliance to commercial properties from January through June 15th. And they're actively working with properties to help bring them into compliance, help them understand the ordinances and how to get there. The Economic Development Department applied for a revitalization and placemaking, or RAP grant, through the MEDC for improvements to the 11 Mile parking lots in the amount of $1 million. So we're hoping to hear about that in the next few months. The city is working with a landscaping company to landscape the island, to landscape the island at Lincoln and Coolidge. And the CIA is investing funds, about $120,000 budgeted for this year, for improvements to the 11 Mile lots. They've also invested they've also invested funds in into the 9 Mile redesign and into those islands at Coolidge and Lincoln. One of our other objectives is to combat blight issues in residential neighborhoods. Oak Park hosted its second Oak Park Cleanup Day, hosted by the Recycling Commission, and they are scheduled to host their second one, and it's tentatively scheduled for September 11th. Technical and Planning has also issued approximately 249 tickets since January to various residential properties for noncompliance with ordinances. Same with the commercial properties. They work tirelessly with property owners to help them understand the ordinances and help them come into compliance. They also oversaw the court-ordered clean-out of a severe hoarder house in the last several months. And of approximately 4,424 rental units in the city, 3,500 of them, almost 36, about 80%, are up to date on their license, and the rest of them are being notified by the building department. And again, they work with them to help them understand that they need to reapply for their license, what they need to do for inspections, et cetera. The fencing on Greenfield is planned to match the 9 Mile Road. That project has been awarded, and we're just awaiting the delivery of the fence. Like many other things, delivery of supplies are running a bit slow. Another objective under that goal is to preserve and increase the city's tree canopy. If you remember, the Department of Public Works was awarded an oak stem tree grant, and they're in the middle of planting 70 new trees around the city as a part of that grant. Another objective, celebrate Oak Park's diversity through events and programs that attract people throughout the region. The city hosted its second annual Juneteenth celebration. This was the first year that it was done in person, in combination with the city's first ever 3-day-long Summer Blast Carnival. AC/DC is planning its second annual film festival in September. Recreation is hosting a summer entertainment series that includes both movies and music in the park. And the library has hosted many new events and programs, including concerts, youth programs, summer reading challenge, a tour in partnership with the Detroit Historical Society, and other author meet and greets. Another objective, offer affordable mobility options. The city is working on implementing a pilot e-scooter program throughout the city, which is also on tonight's agenda. MOGO has had a presence here in the city. They often come to our events to help people understand how to use MOGO, what the benefits are. They were at our State of the City event late in June, and they often they often set up a table at our farmers markets for residents. And investing in public art experiences. The artwork at the city's 9 Mile Linear Park is now all fully installed, so there's 4 pieces. The next objective, to provide programming that responds to the needs of all demographics of the community. The Parks and Recreation Master Plan update and comprehensive assessment process that we're in the middle of includes a complete assessment of our current programming so that we can get a really full picture of where we may have gaps right now and what the community needs and wants and what we're offering. Foster social interaction and a sense of ownership at all of the city's public spaces. We're actively doing this throughout the year. This year, for instance, the State of the City address was held at the new 9 Mile Linear Park. This was an effort to encourage residents to visit and experience the new space. The Connector Park project agreement with the DNR is now in place finally, and the city is working with the DNR to move forward on that project. So in the next year, we should see the Connector Park developed as well. And then the city is also constantly looking for other unique ways to activate our public spaces. We're tentatively planning yoga at one of the city's 9 Mile pocket parks. And we are trying to find different ways to activate the 11 Mile parking lots. So some of the pictures that we have up here was Autumn Fest last year, which was done at the pocket park. We also had a summer concert series last year that was hosted there. Goal 2, to foster an engaged, informed community. And to ensure effective, meaningful communication with the community, we are constantly proactively communicating with residents regarding, for instance, our refuse pickup changes. Continue to communicate the city's events and programs through social media, the city magazine, e-blast, the cable channel, and other channels when necessary. The Communications Department has developed a 12-month plan for strategic information inserts in the monthly utility bills, and we are working on an update to the city's website. Cultivate a culture of civic involvement. We have been actively engaging the public through our Parks and Recreation Master Plan update and comprehensive assessment process. So we've had 9 public meetings for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan update so far. We have 2 more coming up in August. We also have had an 11 Mile, we've had 1 open house for the 11 Mile parking lot improvements, and we have another one scheduled for next July 26th, I think. I apologize if I'm wrong about that. And then we've also had an open house for to help people understand and to gauge kind of the interest and concerns that the public has about a potential e-scooter pilot project. And if we go forward with something like that, we'll continue to engage the public on that project as well. Provide high-quality, friendly, responsive customer service. The city's citizen request management system has been updated and relaunched, and the Communications Department is working to promote the new system across all of our platforms. Reports from this system reports driven from this system will be included in these reports in the future. We're waiting to pile up some data behind it first before we do that. And we're also working with a contractor on an overhaul of the city's phone system. Goal 4, to provide efficient, resilient government. One of our objectives, secure grants to help the city fund projects and capital expenses. The city received a $45,000 grant from the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan through the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Fund for the Connector Park. The city also received a $20,000 grant from the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Fund to help fund a mobile recreation program this year. We are working through the process of obtaining the body-worn cameras grant. It was passed in the federal government's current fiscal year budget for just over $500,000. We secured $1 million in grant funding for the resurfacing of 9 Mile Road. The city applied and is waiting to hear about 2 separate grants for the 11 Mile parking lot project. One is specifically for green infrastructure, and one in the requested amount of $1 million will help cover the cost of all of the infrastructure improvements. Another objective is to partner with neighboring jurisdictions as appropriate to accomplish common goals and maximize efficiencies. Together with neighboring communities on the 9 Mile corridor from Hazel Park all the way to Farmington Hills, and in coordination with Oakland County, we created the 9 Mile Task Force, and we have just applied for a grant to conduct a study that will analyze how we can provide connected and consistent complete streets throughout the corridor, building upon what our city has already accomplished on 9 Mile. Another objective, ensure adequate street lighting throughout the city. We recently increased the pedestrian lighting throughout the linear park, and street lights are checked quarterly for outages. To sustain and expand a safe and comprehensive transportation network for all users. The city uses a PASER rating system to strategically invest annually in the city's street network. I won't go through our street projects, but they're all in that report if you guys want to read through them. Including, or in addition to our annual concrete program or our miscellaneous concrete. Another objective, consistent strategic investment in water and sewer infrastructure. Again, I won't go through all of them, but there's a list of all of the investments that were passed in the budget for the next fiscal year. And lastly, goal 6, to encourage environmentally sustainable practices. To increase environmentally sustainable practices in all of our city buildings, we've transitioned many of the lights in city facilities to LED, and we continue to do so when replacement is needed. In an effort to reduce paper usage, each department now has Adobe Sign, which provides each of us the ability to safely and securely obtain signatures digitally. And promote environmentally sustainable practices to residents and businesses. The Economic Development Department is introducing the Oakland County PACE program to local businesses at an upcoming educational forum. So that's a program for businesses to learn about sustainable practices. And then lastly, incorporate green infrastructure into all of our city projects whenever possible. Right now, what you're looking at up on the screen is some of the green infrastructure that we have on our linear park. And we have preliminarily, for the 11 Mile parking lots, there is quite a bit of green infrastructure that's being proposed for that project as well. And that is it.
And what do you do in your free time? That's
It was not just me.
very
That's
impressive.
most of the people behind me.
Very, very impressive.
Yes.
Unbelievable. It's like by the book, like it's supposed to be. We're sort of the poster child for how to redevelop a community. Proud of all the staff that made that possible. Bravo. Any questions? Council, our mouths are hanging
I
from.
do have a question.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I think we've talked about it before a little bit, but what will the 11 Mile parking lot look like? What are we thinking about?
Well, one of the main objectives is to turn it into, or help to kind of relook at the space as also a public space. So it's a public parking lot right now. Really, the only usage that it gets is for parking. But we want to look at it as a space, especially since it's part of our social district, that can accommodate not just parking, but also socialization and bringing the community together. So a space where we could host events, but also people can informally take their drink or their food out from one of the local businesses, sit down in a chair, possibly listen to some music that maybe we've got a guitarist there one day or something. So public spaces and green infrastructure are two of the big, I think, pieces of that big picture, what we'd like to have there. But I think the main also is just the parking lot itself is not in great condition. So that, I guess the core of it, the main money piece of it is just relaying the concrete, and it's not in great shape as it is. But if we're going to do that, to also really take it up a notch and provide some public spaces there and really create a gathering space for the community.
Aren't we improving drainage by putting in?
Yep. Yeah, so we'd be looking at a lot of green infrastructure in there, helping to kind of manage the stormwater.
And will this will involve the lot that goes from Tyler to Gardner as well?
Yes, all three of them is what's proposed.
Sounds great.
And is
Yeah.
there other infrastructure that you mentioned on 11 Mile, making 11 Mile itself look better? Is this planned yet?
It's not planned just yet. I think the talks are happening with the other communities involved on 11 Mile. Director Maroney could probably speak to that at a higher level than I can, or possibly the city manager. But I think right now the hope is there, and I know we had a planning grant now, 3 years ago possibly, where all of the communities looked at what that could look like. So I think the talks are starting again, if I'm correct, and because it's not just us, it's Berkeley, and then it's also going into the city of Huntington Woods as well.
It will benefit all three communities. It'll be fabulous. And birthing this restaurant district under the water tower is amazing. We created something that didn't exist before. It was just old, light industrial buildings on 11 Mile. Nobody would go to visit. Now we've got people coming from all over to come to the brewery and the Oak Park Social and the coffee house and all of that. It's extraordinary what happened, and it's just city policy changed the life on 11 Mile to make it exciting and attractive. Bravo.
Yeah, really, I mean, we've achieved so much in the last 4 years. It's really remarkable. Good work.
Yeah, to all of our colleagues. I'm just the one that gets to report about it.
I do have one more question. Maybe Director Barrett can speak to this. Under the combating blight issues, that set of objectives. So TMP issued about 250 tickets, and it's good to help properties come into compliance. Are they being honored? I mean, are judges actually holding to account the people who've received these tickets?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, when you get to a point of a ticket and you get in front of the judges, that's the time that they have court orders and they have to oblige to the ticket. So sometimes those cases are some of the harder ones because typically we try to get compliance through talking to the homeowners and maybe a warning notice. But when we get to the point of issuing a ticket, then you're dealing with court dates and giving I think it's called adjournments until further court dates, and you keep coming back, but sometimes some of the harder cases take a while, but we do get compliance.
And is this number, has it increased from last year?
I would speculate it's about the same. Or I would say from last year, it's probably up because we gotta talk about COVID numbers too, where we were given a lot of leniency on property owners during that period too.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Wow. We don't have public hearings or special communications. Brings us to item 10, special licenses. The policy of Oak Park is if it's a nonprofit, we waive the fee. If it is a for-profit business, they pay the fee for an event. So this is 10A, request for special event license and waiver fee submitted by Oak Park Arts and Cultural Diversity Commission for the annual Oak Park Film Festival to be held, and mark your calendar, September 16th to 18th, 2022. So is there a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
just want to say that I'm the council liaison for the Arts Cultural Diversity Commission, and they're working so hard for the second annual film festival led by our chairperson, Donnie Wilson. I'm just really proud of the strides that we've made as a hub for entertainment in the city. Kind of touching on what Mayor Pro Tem talked about and what was mentioned in our strategic report. But this is something that kind of coincides with our water tower district there with, I think, half of the events probably for our film festival will take place there. And none of that would be possible without our administration, birthing that 11-mile district over there. So that's just my point of discussion I wanted to make.
And there's been a lot of innovation. Film festival, Juneteenth, lots of new stuff going on that is fabulous programming. And we thank all involved. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. 10B is a request for a special event license submitted by BookBeat, 26010 Greenfield, for a 40th anniversary store celebration to be held August 28th, 2022. Mark August 28th down in your calendar. There's always fun stuff going on out there. And this is one of the few successful, independently owned bookstores left in the country. So get out and support BookBeat. Is there a motion to
So moved.
approve this request?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We don't have any bids, but we do have a second reading of an ordinance and adoption of an ordinance to amend Chapter 6, Alcoholic Liquors, Article 3, Regulation of On-the-Premises Consumption of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oak Park, Michigan by amending Sections 652, 654, 655, 656, 658, 659, and 668 thereof. Is there a motion to approve the second reading and adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Would our city attorney, would you again give us just a brief synopsis of what this will do?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The changes that are outlined in this particular amendment will specifically allow the city to provide Class C liquor licenses. It removes the food requirement minimums that are currently in the ordinance, and also provides for a procedure for city council to have oversight over licensees.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes,
Councilmember Radner. Yes. Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
motion carried, thank you. There's nothing special from the city attorney, so item 15A, City Manager Eric Tungate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. 15A, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our new Deputy City Clerk and Director of Elections, Jolynn Williams. I'd like to also ask her to join me at the podium, please. Jolynn Williams was born and raised here in Oak Park. She's still a resident to this day. She attended the University of Michigan, where she completed her studies, getting a bachelor's degree in communications. After graduating from U of M, she worked in the Department of Elections for the city of Detroit as a assistant city clerk, election administrator, for 13 years in the city of Detroit doing principal training as a principal training specialist. And then after working 13 years in the city of Detroit, she spent 2 years working as the assistant city clerk, election administrator in the city of Pontiac. She is a member of the Detroit Association of University of Michigan Women and serves as a board member for the U of M Alumni Council, an auxiliary of the U of M Alumni Association. She is an avid runner, runs 5Ks. Her goal is to do a 5K in every state, and during her free time, she also likes to read, ride her bike, and visit new restaurants, and thankfully, we have some great ones here in our city for you to frequent. So with that, I want to say welcome, and we hired you just in time for our big election coming up.
Exactly. But thank you for having me again. My name is Jolynn Williams. I'm very excited to serve in this capacity here in my city. And I bring with me, like he mentioned, some election experience. But again, I'm just really excited. Started right in the thick of election cycle, so I'm just ready to get this ball rolling and continue the great success of Mr. Clerk Norris here. And again, thank you for having me. It's been a great week so far, and I'm really excited.
That's great. And you had mentioned when I ran into you that you were interested in getting 18-year-olds at Oak Park High School registered
Definitely.
to vote.
I'm glad you brought that up because right now, a little short with poll workers, recruiting poll workers. So if anyone knows anyone who's interested in working this upcoming election, I have 2 training classes scheduled. One is tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then the next one is this Wednesday at 5:30. So if anyone's interested, I'm trying to recruit more people. But yes, going forward, I do want to reach out to the high schools around the area to recruit the high school students to get them involved early. So
Amen.
Yes, I am definitely interested in that.
Because if you get used to voting, you keep voting.
Yes, start early, yes.
Start them right. Thank you so much. How much do you get for it's a very long day, but how much do you get for working the election?
So the pay is $165 to $200 depending on your status or your current position, and pretty much it'll be $165 at this point because $200 are for the supervisors. We're usually trying to get people who are more experienced to work those roles.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Welcome. We can't be happier to have you in the city of Oak Park. Council hug to you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
And
can I just
yes.
ask one question?
Yes.
You said there's a training tomorrow and Wednesday?
yes, ma'am, here in the council chambers.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow what time?
10 a.m.,
10 a.m.
Tuesday 10 a.m., and then Wednesday 5:30 p.m.
Jolynn, I am so happy that you're a member of my team. Thank you so much for
I'm
joining
excited.
us.
Thank you
Looking forward to
again.
working with you.
I appreciate it.
And go blue.
Go blue.
Yes.
Wow. Competent, bright and competent, fabulous. Item 15B.
Okay, 15B, our very own Deputy City Manager of Community Services, Crystal Van Vleck, is here.
Good evening again. So it's only been one meeting, so I think this is still fresh on everyone's brain, but tonight I am back with a proposed pilot e-scooter operating agreement with Bird Rides, Inc. As one of City Council's objectives in the strategic plan is to offer affordable mobility options, staff has been exploring ways to expand mobility options within the community. Shared e-scooters are a popular form of micromobility in other communities and may be an option for expanding affordable mobility options here in ours. At the council meeting on July 5th, City Council authorized the city manager to negotiate a pilot program agreement with Bird Rides, Inc. The final agreement represents an 18-month pilot program and is attached. It's recommended that City Council approve the pilot e-scooter operating agreement with Bird Rides, Inc. upon final review and approval by our city attorney.
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. So
Yes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Carolyn. Questions?
Yeah.
Councilmember Solomon Radner.
On page 19, it says that the top speed is 15 miles per hour, and then on page 21, it says that it's 19 miles per hour. Do you know offhand if it's?
Oh, are you talking about their proposal?
Yeah. Do you know if the top speed on these are going to be 15 or 19?
19 is the top speed of the scooters themselves. We do have the opportunity to regulate them further than that, including slow zones. And so it's not a part of the agreement, but we've already had one meeting with Bird just to get a better understanding of some of the things that we can work out in that partnership. One of those things is slow zones. So they do this a lot in other communities. If you do decide to allow scooters, for instance, in parks, or if there are areas where there's high pedestrian activity, you'll often see, if you've ever ridden a scooter, actually it happens downtown. I've been riding one, and you'll notice it will slow down. It won't let you go past a certain mile per hour. And that's one of the options that we have. But 19 is the max speed of these.
Okay, but there are going to be slow zones and things of that nature.
That is one of the things that we're looking at, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
And I know these cost, you've got to download the app in order to use them. What is the cost?
So Bird has a couple of, similar to Mogo, they have some programs that for low income and things like that are a cheaper cost. But let me find in their proposal, because off the top of my head, I don't remember.
It's 73.
Say page 73.
Yeah.
So it's $1 to unlock, and then there's a per minute fee of 39 cents. They have Bird community pricing, which this program offers 50% off of the standard unlock and per minute fee. It includes low-income residents, seniors, and students with Pell Grants, veterans, and employees of pre-approved community-based organizations and nonprofits. And then there are passes. You can get a daily pass for $19.99 for unlimited rides, weekly pass $1.99 for free unlocks. So you'd still pay the 39 cents, but you just don't pay the constant unlock fee of $1. And then monthly passes of $5.99 for free unlocks. So again, you still pay the 39 cents per minute. You just don't pay the unlock fee each time you open one back up.
What's the average length of time that somebody uses one of these generally?
You know, I don't know off the top of my head, and I think it varies per community and just how far things are, if someone's riding leisurely or if someone's using it as their kind of last mile in their commute. But I think that it varies quite a bit.
Thank you.
You know, I love the idea, but, you know, I've seen in cities that have these that they end up sort of in a pile at corners, and people just leave them on sidewalks. And my misgiving is that, you know, you're walking, you're riding your bike, and oops, there's a scooter right in the middle of the sidewalk. And Bird, the company, they've got to pick up the scooters daily. I'm assuming it's going to be every 2 hours. So they come by and they make sure that they're operational, because sometimes they're not operational. And
Yes, so part of that, well, they have what they call field managers that are employed here in the city. It will take someone also reporting these things, so we will want the community to, if you see something, there will be a mechanism for reporting it, and they have 2 hours to pick up a scooter that's not parked properly. One of the other things that Bird does, just as part of their business plan, is the rider has to take a photo of where they park it, and that's a way for them internally to confirm that they're being parked where they're supposed to. That's not foolproof, right? That still happens. And so we can report it. They're supposed to be there within 2 hours. We've also put a fee mechanism in here into the agreement that says if they don't do that in 2 hours, we can charge them back. We're actually asking them to put a deposit down annually so that we have the money on hand each time something like that happens. It's on us to keep track of it, but then we charge them back anytime that we have to move something that they have not moved per the agreement. Same thing with inoperable scooters. So it's broken or the battery died or whatnot, same thing.
Yes, City Manager.
I just want to digress and emphasize that the whole point behind us piloting this is that all of these things are going to be taken into account, and if at the end of the day we find that it's not working for us, then we make a different choice. But this period of time, I mean, I think there's a range of things that we can choose to analyze and see what information we'd like to get from that. But, you know, I think that's why we opted this course in terms of a pilot versus just going right into it.
And I'd love to see us look into e-bikes, because I know that there's I think you said that there will be pricing for seniors. I'm not sure how many seniors are gonna get on one of these scooters. But they would use e-bikes, which are fabulous because you're riding, but you're not riding, right? And it gets you where you need to go, and it's a true mode of transportation. Scooters are, you know, they're fun,
Yes.
but you're not gonna be holding a briefcase and riding a scooter, right, to get to work.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I've done
You'd
it.
be surprised.
Anyway, so it'd be great, you know, if this
Most
works
normal
out.
people.
Yeah, one of the conversations that we had with, or part of the conversation that we had with Bird last week was they're slowly starting to introduce different, so e-bikes, also different, for different mobility levels. So they have a partnership with with a company called Scootaround that provides more of assisted mobility mechanisms. And that's something that if we get through the pilot program, for them, they want to see that things are working out in a community before they continue to invest more money into it. But we told them that it's a priority for us to expand this, if it's going well, into other mobility options. And they also have the experience now of working in other communities and seeing what's worked. And we thought it was interesting, one of the, they are actually going to put us in touch with, I think it was Dublin, Ohio, who recently did a scooter rodeo at one of their senior events to help, because what they were explaining was sometimes the scooters, there are people who actually have mobility issues who can't really use a scooter, but there are also some people who are just intimidated by them or not sure not quite sure enough to go pick one up off the street themselves. And so they said they had some great success because they just brought them all in free and let people use them and kind of experience them to see if they did feel comfortable with them. So we would be looking at doing things like that to help the community understand how to use them and see if they feel comfortable with them before they start paying for them and riding them.
Now, what about helmets? Do the Birds have the helmet attached where okay, so.
Yeah, you're supposed to wear a helmet, but they're not attached. One of the things, actually, we're talking to them about, you'll notice the agreement has a start date of July 25th. We kept that start date, but they're not positive whether or not, if this agreement is approved, they're not positive that they could have scooters to us by that day. But if they can, the 11-mile open house that I was discussing earlier, which is actually the 27th now that I remember, it's the 27th is the 11-mile open house at the 11-mile parking lots. We, if they can get us scooters in time, if the agreement is approved, we would have some sort of kickoff there too, where they would send us helmets as well. And so they would send us helmets for different events. If we wanted to do educational things, they'll send us all of the things to do that. So let's say the farmer's market or wherever else that we think makes sense, where we can hand out helmets for free, as well as informational pieces, safety, etc.
What time is that 11-mile open house again?
I believe it's 5.
5?
That sounds right.
5:30?
5:30.
Good. Amazing. Amazing. Sense of place is when we all get together and do something, and we are getting together a lot.
I think it's important to add, we plan on engaging the public throughout this process, and also engaging council, just help us to understand what's working, what's not working. And there is a clause, Courtney made sure of this, there is a clause in the agreement that says if it's not working out, we have the option to terminate the agreement.
Is there some kind of three-wheeled thing for older people with not such good balance?
There's not right now, but that is I believe that's one of the assisted mobility devices that are out there that we would work with them on expanding. They had a couple of pretty neat additional vehicles that they're looking at putting into the fleets.
Nice. Any further questions?
There's also an indemnification clause, which I was happy to see,
What's that?
that, that Byrd is going to indemnify the city of Oak Park for anything. We're talking. from the very
Councilmember
beginning.
Radner.
Well, it's something that I think a lot of people would look for, but certainly a lawyer would look for it.
Yeah.
They've got $1 million, $5 million coverage, and there's full indemnification. I'm not going to pretend like I read this whole 200-page contract, but there were certain things I was looking for.
Nice. Nice to
Nice
have a
work to the
lawyer
team.
on
Nice job.
council. Thank you. 2 lawyers, actually. Mhm. So let me see. We need to approve, right?
Yep.
We don't have a motion, right?
There's a motion.
We do have a motion, okay. If there's no more questions, we will vote. All set? Thank you. Ready for roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Motion carried. We're moving on up.
Okay, and finally, 15C, I would like to ask Deputy Director Dan Fairless to join me at the podium, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Manager, council members. This item before you this evening is a request to authorize City Manager Tungate to sign a 1-year contract with Safe Built Michigan LLC, or Safe Built as they're more commonly known, for inspection and plan review services for the building division. Just a little background with the city and Safe Built's relationship. We've been under contract with Safe Built for approximately 15 years. The last contract expired sometime in 2017, and we never formally renewed it. We've just been under an agreement where they've been honoring the same pricing, and we've been under that agreement. And this is a new contract representing new rates for current economic conditions. It's been reviewed by our legal consultants and approved. And again, it is for a 12-month period. And at that point, we can revisit it and make sure that it's the right thing for the city, and revisit it then after the 1-year period.
Okay, we need a motion to approve this 1-year contract with Safe Built.
So moved.
Thank you. Solomon Radner? Is it second? Thank you.
I do have a question about this.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. First and foremost, were the rates before this contract is being signed, the current rates that we have, are they higher or lower than the rates that are outlined in this contract, or are they the same?
Their hourly rates, and we primarily use them for mechanical and plumbing inspections and plan reviews.
Okay.
95% of our dealings with them are for plumbing and mechanical inspections and plan reviews. The old rates were at $63 per hour.
With a minimum or no minimum?
Pardon me?
With a 2-hour minimum or not?
Yes, yeah.
So 63 for a 2-hour minimum, and now it's going up to 84 with a 2-hour
Correct.
minimum. That's, and I know that there's a shortage on
You cannot get
on
people.
workers. I know that, but that's seems a little bit high. I don't know. I haven't
Right.
shopped around for plumbers recently, but 84 an hour with a 2-hour minimum under contract, that's considered good? I'm asking, I really don't know.
Well, again, the last contract was entered 7 or 8 years ago with them. It expired sometime in 2017. They've been honoring that same number for 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, and then the other thing that I have a question about is that there's a 90-day notice provision for termination. It seems a bit high. I mean, and again, I don't know these contracts all that up much. I was looking for 30 to 60. I mean, is 90 the best we can do, or is that standard?
That's standard.
That is standard? Okay. All right, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of council, that completes the city manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, we're now at call to the audience. Mayor Pro Tem will time you 3 minutes. Please give us your name and address to start. And welcome to Oak Park's council meeting. Feel free to come on up and speak up.
Madam Mayor, I have Ken Sherman.
Oh, Ken Sherman.
Good evening, Ken Sherman on Jerome Street in Oak Park. I had one item that I was going to do, but I'm up to 4. I want to welcome the latest city official and wish her well. Secondly, on the strategic plan that Crystal mentioned regarding the library, I think as a member of the city's library board and as a member of the Friends of the Oak Park Library, I just want to give credit where credit is due, and that's to our latest library director, Kimberly Schaff, and her staff for making the library what it has been over the past year and a half since she came on board last April. And third, the scooter pickup to me sounds like the pickup of wayward grocery carts that you find on Greenfield between 10 and 11 Mile Road, where they're always stacked up on the freeway or in front of the senior apartments on both sides of Greenfield, Oak Park, and Southfield. They're just out there. So the description of the scooters being found or potentially being found willy-nilly reminds me when you're driving and you're seeing all these grocery carts that people just dump, you know, on Greenfield between 10 and 11 Mile, and then I believe there's a charge for them to be retrieved by, you know, whoever they belong to, that they have to pay the city officials. And then my last comment has to do with GFL. When Mr. DeCoster came before the city council back on June 20th and announced the proposed plan, I came up after he spoke and said, well, your plan does not take into account how pickup will be on holidays. And everybody said, oh, yeah, that's right. They didn't do that. And the mayor even texted me after the meeting was done because she wasn't present at that June 20th meeting, telling me, oh, that's a great question or a great issue to address. So if all the mailing that has gone out, it still has not been addressed. I even emailed Courtney when I got one of her city blasts saying, how come it hasn't been addressed? And it kind of makes me wonder, when you talk to the council, it seems to fall on deaf ears. I mean, you say you listen to what the residents have to say, but, you know, 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, where's the information? I mean, I assume people will assume that there's going to be a one-day delay like it has been, but I don't know that for a fact. So I think, you know, you have a responsibility with all the PR and all the mailings and blasting that you're doing to put something in there. Thank you for listening. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Mr. Sherman, my goal and devout wish is to make garbage day boring again. Where they just come, they pick it up, it goes, no problem. So all I can say is, we had a garbage day on Thursday and another one on Monday. Monday is our new day. Thursday was our old day. So I'm checking about Monday, and I think before noon, the garbage was picked up, and before 3, the recycling was picked up, and the branches were picked up. Boom, boom, boom. So if that's any indication, we're in good space. Anyone further like to ask a question or make a comment or raise an issue? Quiet little group? Aha, okay, everybody's happy, this is good. And if you're not happy, call my cell, 248-217-1883, if you want to deal with it privately. Benny, I think, has some pictures, and I think, Benny, I'll go by your pictures, by what goes first, so you don't have to shop around. So I complained to the Oakland County Sheriff Department that an officer was trying to influence an elected official. And Benny, there's the horse kissing the mayor. The horse is kissing up to the mayor, don't you think? Then, at the pancake breakfast, they had an auction. And one of the things auctioned off was breakfast with the mayor and a tour of the office building. And there's Amy Greenhut, our winner, and her friend. This is the lunch at Oak Park Social, and the other one, she was sitting up here with a giant gavel. And we had a lovely, lovely time, so please bid on that next summer. It's great. This is the concert in the park. Concerts in the park are back Thursday at 7 p.m. They are wonderful. This is the hot dog. I'm a food snob. The hot dog was lovely. The bun was not your supermarket bun. It was a good bakery bun. The toppings were wonderful. I had a Hawaiian with pineapple, and I'd recommend it highly. Come on out Thursday. At the library, this was a wonderful event. The first gentleman up there, I think it's Sean Blackman. Is that his first name? Yeah, Sean? And he grew up in Oak Park, went to Oak Park High School, graduated, is a fine musician. His grandfather was Mr. Hagopian, who started Hagopian Rug Cleaners. He came from the Turkish, he was an Armenian, came from the Turkish city, and he had studied with a chemist. And so he learned chemistry. And he came to this country, and he started making cleaning products and cosmetics. And there was a talk show, a Mr. Fix-It talk show. And a lady called in and said, I've got brand new white carpeting, and I just spilled my contents of my ink pen on the carpet. And the guy said, cut the hole in the carpet and put in a new hole. There's nothing you can do. Mr. Hagopian called in and said, have the lady call me, I can take that spot out. And so that's how Hagopian carpet cleaning got started, because that lady was thrilled that he took this spot out of her carpet, and she told all her friends. This was today's event. Today's event was a gentleman called Adele Kimbrough. Well, first of all, this is Pharaoh Weaver. He is an Oak Park High School graduate who works at Chrysler. He was the second car in the line. He got in line this morning for free gas. Did you hear about that? Adele Kimbrough donated $20,000. It was his birthday. He was going to go to the Middle East. What's that fancy town in the Middle East? Dubai, for a fancy vacation. He listened to the news and all of us suffering with food prices and gas prices and everything. He said, I cannot waste that kind of money just going on some fancy trip. So he took his trip money and donated it to the people. Everybody could get $20 worth of free gas today.
He donated $20,000 worth of gas?
$20,000 worth of gasoline.
That's almost a full tank. That's amazing.
That's the best line I've heard all day.
a good setup.
So it's Adele Kimbrough. He is a philanthropist. He has a nonprofit in addition to his money-making businesses called Prophetic World Group. Donate to that group because this guy is a saint. It is his birthday today, and his way of celebrating his birthday was giving away $20,000 in gasoline. And this is the guy right here with the mayor. And the previous picture was the second guy in line. I pumped his gas. So Ardell Kimbrough pumped the first person, and I pumped the second person. And it was, with all the dark things going on, to have somebody do something so kind makes us all want to pass it on forward. And so it was bringing light into the darkness. It was a beautiful thing today. And the police are going nuts because the line went from the front along 8 Mile down Myers, back down, I don't know, until the end of the line was back at the gas station.
Wow.
Where is it exactly?
This is the gas station on Coolidge and 8 Mile on the northeast corner. There's another gas station across the street. So, is that all, Benny? Is that all the pictures that we got? Thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem has a story about her trip to Israel that will top mine.
Well, it's embarrassing. I fell down and broke my wrist. That's all there is to it. But I did want to say that I saw a lot in Israel that I think really works for people. They do a lot of good planning, and they plan around people, not around cars. And they do have good public transportation, which unfortunately we don't. But I noticed a lot of very informal public spaces where they would take spaces that were just underutilized and put chairs out and tables. It attracts people. People come out of their homes, their apartments, and they meet. They had a lot of food options, very casual food options, but it really struck me that you can do simple things and you can create community, and that's what we're doing here. All the things that Assistant City Manager Van Vleck talked about tonight are about that. It's about placemaking, it's about community building. And, you know, we are a small city, and we're not struggling, but, you know, we aren't a wealthy hamlet, and yet we are still doing things that get people out and build this community. We're attracting people. So I was really, you know, I was really struck by sort of some basic things that they do, a lot of public art. It looks good, and people are out and about, and it's got a nice feel. You know, there's lots of interaction going on. But I did come home with a broken wrist. So, but it's no big deal. But anyway, thank you all for coming out tonight.
Councilmember Radner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have to wish a very special birthday to somebody on July 13th. That was my wife's birthday. So I know she's not watching this because she's busy with the kids, but happy birthday. And also, there's another birthday I have to mention because just yesterday was my daughter's birthday. So happy birthday, Adina. And speaking of birthdays, I also have to wish a birthday to my son, whose birthday is July 23rd. So happy birthday, Yaakov. We are a July birthday family.
Yours too?
No. Mine's nowhere near July.
Okay.
Mine's October. I don't know how I ended up in my family. But there's just one other thing that I wanted to address, and that is that somebody mentioned something about the birds potentially piling up like grocery carts. I'm not concerned about that because there's a lot of things that are going to be in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. First and foremost, if they start piling up, birds are going to lose a lot of money. So there's every incentive in the world for them to make sure that that doesn't happen. And plus, if the city goes out and picks them up, birds are going to end up paying for it. So I'm not too concerned about that. I'm excited about the bird pilot program. I look forward to riding them around. I've ridden them around in lots of other cities, and I always enjoy it. And one last thing, that's a great shirt. I love it, and I think I'm going to get one of those. And for those of you who can't see it, it says vote or be quiet. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I'm very happy to see our residents here at our city council meeting. Thank you for coming. It's greatly appreciated.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mixed-use development on 11 Mile, a 9-mile redesign with a new linear park and public art, Summer Blast Juneteenth, the 2nd annual film festival, library events, meet and greets, summer entertainment series, which is underway with concerts and movies, an update to our city website, a recreational assessment in progress, grants for secured for financial projects like body-worn cameras for our public safety department, street projects to improve infrastructure and roads. Oak Park, we're well on our way. And that's just the top 10 things that I could highlight from Director Van Fleck's strategic planning update for our quarter. And that's just 1 quarter or 2 quarters it was this time. But we are the preeminent city in Oakland County. We have a lot to be Oak Park proud about. And that's just a couple of the highlights. So we're just going to keep working for you all. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Have a lovely evening. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned.